is not an alien force.
And everybody is live.
That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
From some other species, from another planet, outside in the universe.
And that didn't even go through, did it?
Do we have you back, Eric?
All right. Yeah, I just went through the whole spiel, too. All right, is everybody back in here?
Yeah, because you totally dropped out. I think they were on my line for a minute or two, and then it all dropped off.
Okay, gotta love Skype.
I hate it sometimes, but yay, what can you do? Wait till we get forced to the new version of Skype, and then you're going to really have problems.
Oh, yeah, right. Okay, let me get everyone calling back in here. And yeah, our technology is awful sometimes.
Here.
All right, we're back.
Oh, I hear somebody.
Hey, there's Michael. Are we still back with Gary?
That's a good question. Right now we got Megan and you and I think. I think we lost Cole.
Yeah, Skype's just not cooperating tonight.
Is it Skype?
Yep.
Okay. We've got here. Does Cole know your phone number to call in to you, or do you need to call?
I'm about to call him back right now.
Okay. And then we might have to call Gary back. I don't know.
Yeah, I will. I was just talking to Gary.
Yeah, I know you were.
And then Skype just completely dropped. Again. So hold on a sec here.
You might have your Skype might have updated to the current the thing.
Oh no.
Up.
Auto up.
Well, don't worry. This is a learning experience, and it's always fun to figure things.
No, it's not. It's got to be perfect.
I think we're really knocking this premiere out of the ballpark.
Oh, heck yeah. Well, that's the cool. The S-4ians out there, hang in there with us. It's really nice to have an audience like that.
Well, the bonus to this is every show will only go up from here.
Oh, there you go.
Right.
Exactly. Okay, so Gary at the station is no phone on Cooper, so obviously he's waiting for you to call back, Coop.
Yeah, I'm working on that.
But we got people joining on the chat room here on this side of the fence anyway.
That's just
on,
Cole and I see Cole and
Facebook.
Megan. All right, 203.
But I will tell Gary that we're that you are him back.
Yeah, I'm calling him right now.
Okay.
And I can't answer him because then he would completely disconnect this call.
Coop is trying to call into you.
Yeah, I'm working on it. I declined his call so I could call him back.
Oh, I see. Okay. Richard Spassoff is out there in the chat room land. Hey, Richard. This is how we struggle sometimes, buddy, but he's Night Dreams Talk Radio as a host as well. So, and we got Kevin Beagle on there joining us. Doug's there. Okay, Gary got my message. He's just waiting for you.
It should be ringing through to him right now.
Okay.
All right.
And Cole is back.
All right. Gary,
all right.
Are you there? Do we have Gary back in?
Okay, hopefully we got you back.
There we go.
Okay. I don't know what happened. It was strange.
It's Skype. Skype completely dropped on my end.
Okay.
All right.
I just want to say before I go, you got somebody in Wisconsin listening right now, and somebody in Nova Scotia.
All right.
Wow, that's covering the gamut.
Good deal. All right, so we rolling?
You're on the air.
All righty, so good evening,
We are
morning,
rolling.
depending on where you are, and welcome to S-4, the voice of Forest Movement Paranormal, coming to you live from the FMP headquarters in the beautiful mountains of Concrete, Washington, in the North Cascades. FMP is a highly active emergency response team for all aspects of the paranormal, from aggressive hauntings to alien interaction, Bigfoot, and other cryptids, and everything in between that's terrifying. S-4 is the voice where we discuss these things in detail. So you can find S-4 on Night Dreams Talk Radio, found at www.nightdreamstalkradio.com. We're also on terrestrial radio with KSVU 90.1 FM locally from 10 to 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on Saturday nights, just before the show starts live. So tonight, it's already January 6th and our first show in 2019. So tonight, we're actually going to start discussing this next year and what we have planned for 2019 with both FMP and S-4. And tonight, you're actually seeing one of our big changes for the coming year with our switch over to Night Dreams. So tonight with us, we have Cole Wig-Leitner, our FMP lore and culture research specialist and owner of Statement of Sound DJ Services. Megan
Hello.
Goering, our FMP security detail and Astral team, and Michael Hall, our paranormal lawyer and founder of UFOI team. So how's everyone doing tonight?
Wonderful.
Excellent.
Good.
Nice to be back again.
It's good to hear we're all talking. Gotta love technology, you know. So, you know, we had a great team meeting tonight, and we actually discussed in detail a lot more of our plans of what we're doing. It's going to be a great Bigfoot year, don't you think, Megan and Cole?
Absolutely.
We have
This
a
is
lot
going
of,
to be awesome.
you know, we have a lot of mountain plans.
I'm going to find them.
You're going to go fight him or find him?
Find, not fight. That's illegal in the state of Washington. Let's not do that.
Right? So, Michael, what's your thoughts on Bigfoot?
Well, you know, I used to kind of believe Dr. Jeff Meldrum's kind of line of thinking, where he's kind of basically, I think, on the cryptid Gigantopithecus line of thinking, where he thinks it's a evolutionary kind of hominid that has been a holdover from ancient times. I used to think that, and now I'm just wondering whether it's a little bit more than that. Maybe it's a multi-dimensional being. And the reason that I'm saying that is that there seems to be this whole idea that Bigfoot can actually do much more than a normal mammal could. For instance, disappear, cloak, and maybe even have some kind of a interaction with our brains that maybe could even keep us from away from them, with some kind of a shield or something. And the fact that there seem to be multiple sightings of Bigfoot along with UFOs. And I've spoken with Ron Moorhead about that whole situation as well. He's another Bigfooter, and he thinks that there's definitely some correlation between UFOs and Bigfoot because of the multiple sightings of them in close proximity to one another.
And, that brings up the excellent point, because the first thing we're going to talk about tonight is actually training with FMP, and a lot of our training is going to be, being in the heart of the Cascades. Here, most of our team is up here in Concrete, Cedar Woolley, Darrington. So we're in the heart of the Cascades, in the heart of the mountain. There's a whole lot of mystery that goes on in the mountains, besides Bigfoot and UFOs, and we plan on using spirit boxes actually in the middle of nowhere and seeing what we pick up.
That's an interesting idea. I hadn't thought of that before.
Oh, most definitely, because a lot of Fae, and anyone that's new to S-4, we do talk a lot about Fae. We talk a lot about demons. We talk about a lot of the darker side of the paranormal, essentially, and a lot of UFO alien abduction, along with all that. Now, there is correlation into this team. Paranormal is the whole umbrella. It's not just, you go up to the common person and ask them what paranormal is, they automatically jump on ghosts and spirits. Well, it's a whole lot more than that. So we're going to be hitting up a lot of training on wilderness survival and emergency response, ICS, because what we are is an emergency response team. I've already said that. But if you look at the way natural disasters are reacted to with the incident command system, is pretty much the same way we set up. As far as response, as far as the command structure goes, is very similar. So we're doing a lot more this year, Bigfoot and UFO investigation in mountain terrain. And being as probably about half the team is all prior military, it fits right in. So we're going to research in various off-world races and their interaction with Earth and the human race. So on this show, what we call, what a lot of people call aliens, we call off-world, because that's what they are. You have every once in a while you'll have an off-world race that's not planetary; they're interdimensional, and we'll go into a lot of all that. By the way, you can find our a lot of our archives both on Spreaker and on the YouTube channel. We're going to be discussing biology of specific cryptids and off-world races, a deep understanding of specific theories in relation to the 2017-2022 window and any truth within them and how to prepare for it. So let's talk about that for a sec. Did you ever have a chance to find out about the 2017-2022 window, Megan?
Basically, things off-world are going to start heating up and affecting Earth. There's going to be a visitation that was predicted or promised by an alien race in 2022 is what I've uncovered through my research.
So if you look at for a lot of the new listeners, if you can find Forest Moon Paranormal, by the way, on Facebook. You'll just look for Forest Moon Paranormal. You'll find the group. Join the group, because in our library we actually have the Alien Races book, which was translated by Dante Santori. And according to what he uncovered through the KGB years ago, there's a 2017 to 2022 window in which there are many off-world races that are actually at war with each other, and we're in the crossfire of it. You can see that through many different YouTube channels. Now, I don't like YouTube videos for the simple fact that anybody can make a CGI video and say, "Oh my God, look at that," and it's nothing more than CGI. So if you look at a YouTube video, do some research on it and see if there's other sources that actually talk about the same video that aren't connected. That's how you kind of rule between what might be true and what might not be. So with the 2017 to 22 window, which we're in 2019 now, 3 more years, and we'll see what's going to happen. There's supposed to be an alien war that the human race has nothing to do with. And you can, were the lights in New York part of that? Possibly. I don't think it was just a simple transformer blowing up. What do you think, Michael?
Well, I think you're right. I think you're right on there.
What was your perception of that?
My perception was that it brought up a lot more questions than it did answers. When they said it was a Con Edison power plant that blew up, boy, I tell you what, there were a whole lot of homegrown videos of this event that looked a lot more diffuse than a fire in one location. Matter of fact, I've seen the videos of a fire, supposedly that they said was the aftermath of this explosion at Con Edison in New York City, which is their electric utility, by the way, if some people aren't from the East Coast. But the other dash cams and video recordings that were going on at the same time, you're talking a Big Apple. You're talking millions and millions of people that are out and about. And of course, if everybody knows about New York, it's never sleeping. There's always somebody available to record something on tape. All of those recordings don't seem to be very kind of localized in one area. They seem to be like lighting up the entire night sky with different colors and things. So I'm just wondering if indeed there was either, like you said, some kind of a conflict going on that we don't know about, or whether it was some kind of a cover-up that happened in that area that they needed to pin on some kind of a thing. And of course, that would be one of the easiest things to pin it on, would be some kind of an electrical surge or power outage or something like that.
And yet nobody in New York, from what I understand from the folks I talked to in New York, lost any power.
Yeah. Now there you go. And you would think there would be some injuries, local injuries anyway, in some places around that fire that was there. If indeed there was a building involved, and you don't find very many uninhabited buildings in New York City, even Con Edison building. So it's a little suspicious for sure.
And we've had this talk. I think wasn't it you and I, Megan, and maybe Cole, that were talking that the color of the discharge that was seen was not a common electrical discharge color. It was a different hue.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't just a different hue. It's the fact that when electricity explodes like that, it creates many different hues. It goes through different reactions of color.
Mm-hmm.
And this stayed bright baby blue. There was no other colors involved.
No, and you want to talk about power, and real quick. Next week we'll be actually because on S-4 we also talk about disaster preparation, and so next week we're actually talking about winter preparation because of the fact that we've already lost 4 days of power back in December, and we've already lost a day of power this month. And we're expecting another heavy windstorm in tonight, so we're kind of holding our breath whether we can even do the show tonight, which is important. But when you're talking about power lines going down, transformers blowing up, that wasn't the color that was seen in the videos in New York. Something else was going on that one.
Yeah, I had a transformer explode right outside my house a couple years ago, and it arced green, and then the actual casing of the transformer caught fire, and then it was just, the flickering orange and, the yellow and normal fire colors. There was no blue. No blue. And I'm scrolling through the images right now, and I just cannot believe almost every single photo has the same color blue, no matter what kind of device they took it with. It's that eerie, really supercharged blue.
Yeah. So, and this stuff's been going on. I mean, you can look through the YouTube channels and you'll hear about the strange noises that are being heard, across the globe. Sound like a trumpet noise. Some people say that's the structure of buildings and the wind going through it. No, I don't think so.
I know what that is.
You know what that is?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So the F-35, it has psychological warfare capabilities through noise, and when it makes a certain bank, a bank turn, the wind goes over it in such a manner that it does sound like trumpets of God.
Oh, and goodness.
Yeah. And actually, I spoke with our friend Dave Scott about it not too long ago, and I sent him a YouTube link because it is always associated around water, over water, or near some type of military installation. And so a group of paranormal investigators decided to go and hunt this thing down, and they were very disappointed that it was, in fact, an F-35.
I'm disappointed now.
I'm sorry.
Oh, no, that's fine. I'd rather get to the bottom of it,
Yeah, but it's psychological warfare, and if you were to hear the clip on the video, it is exactly there's a clip that was posted last year to our webpage FMP on our Facebook page, and it was heard in Marysville, Everett, and out on the peninsula in Washington State, and a bunch of viewers reported this and said, "Oh my goodness, the sounds coming from the sky, it's the exact same sound that the JSF-35 makes."
Yeah, and that would be coming from Whidbey Island, more likely.
Exactly.
Oh man, it's great. It's great having an ex-Marine on this panel here. We get to get all this inside scoop.
Oh. Hey, sorry guys. I know what that is. Yeah, psychological warfare through noise.
And that's common, actually.
Kids do that.
Never heard of that one, but
your kids. Yeah. Well, I mean, they use psychological warfare in Waco, with the constant noise bombardment. So it is a thing. So, but yeah, the trumpet noise that I will share the video.
Can I ask an honest-to-God stupid question?
Sure. You'll
When-
get an honest, non-stupid answer. Go ahead.
So, to the two people in the military, that were in the military, the whole thing you see on TV where they start playing like the most annoying songs of the 90s and the 80s, did they actually ever do that?
Yeah, actually they did it in Cuba, and I believe they did it in Iraq with Saddam. Played AC/DC.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah.
Why AC/DC? Who wouldn't like that?
Saddam Hussein, maybe.
Islam.
Oh, come on. You can't hate them.
And I want to clarify, I have nothing against Islam, and I'll get hated for that. Many people do anyway. But you got radicals in every belief system. The ones that are attacking are just the radicals of Islam. You've got radicals here of mainstream religions here. So that wasn't a dig at Islam, but listening to heavy metal to a true Islam, no.
Yeah, that's just not fair. That's good tunes.
It ain't. But yes, and that is a very simple form of psychological warfare as well. Playing obnoxious noises, playing obnoxious music to a culture that doesn't believe in obnoxious music, for example. What we see as awesome heavy metal is obnoxious to some cultures.
Hey, before we get off the subject of this New York Con Edison explosion, I have a really interesting correlation to bring up, if I can, regarding that and the Phoenix Lights in Arizona. Let me tell you what I'm looking at when I go through the news, releases on this thing. Do you remember when the Phoenix Lights hit back in 1997?
Yes.
And the governor, Fife Symington, at that time, holds this press conference and comes out, brings out a guy with an alien mask on, and asks the local law enforcement guys to arrest him, and put the cuffs on him, that kind of thing. That was kind of like, a joke, kind of try to diffuse, the tension that was going on at that time, because literally hundreds of thousands of people saw this massive couple mile wide UFO hovering over Phoenix back at that time. Well, guess what happened at the Con Edison event when their governor, Andrew Cuomo, comes out holding an alien mask at the press conference.
What?
And makes fun of the idea that, some people thought it was like an alien invasion or something to do with aliens. Now, here's the deal. Whenever you're, trying to keep a lid on things, if you're a centralized government like what we have, you obviously have the only control mechanism in every state is through the governor's office. And I would imagine some pressure came down real quick on Governor Cuomo to get out there and make some kind of a, light, statement about it wasn't aliens or, that kind of thing. So that was an interesting correlation. I just mentioned that because, that's one of the knee-jerk reactions that you would definitely do if you're trying to keep control of things is get the governor out there making fun of these things. And that just goes to show you maybe there's some very similar things going on there.
Yeah,
Well,
very interesting.
What bothered me about the whole thing was after we talked about it last week, I was looking through the videos again, and there actually is one at the ground level, and it is literally 20 feet from the transformer.
Oh.
What?
How do you get a video of it exploding? And there are electricity arcs going in every single direction. How do you get that video to keep playing while these electrical arcs are going straight at the camera? Like, talk about being able to CGI a video. That was a good job.
Well, yeah, they've got to, cover it all up.
Yeah, because there's no video equipment that could actually withstand that big of a hit, that big of an electrical surge,
right?
To keep playing through it.
Oh, very, very good point, Cole. Yeah. Matter of fact, it just goes to show you that if indeed the powers that be on the East Coast, New York City, don't have control of what's going on, this is just a really great example of, things happening, and then the local government has to spin it, has to spin the tail, and keep the pressure on, and make sure that the pressure doesn't explode, in the public. They make fun of it, whatever they can, but it just goes to show you that no, I don't think we are in charge. I think these things happen all the time, and basically the aftermath is trying to be covered up.
Now, I've got a question. Wasn't it true that the governor of Arizona actually came out before when that first hit, if I remember right? Now, bear in mind, I wasn't here when that happened. I was actually in Germany, and I actually saw it on CNN, sitting in a clinic on the Army base I was on. And
wow.
As I recall, yeah, it actually hit CNN. I was surprised. But didn't that governor come out and say it might be extraterrestrial before he showed up with an alien mask?
Go ahead.
So,
Nate.
Okay, I was going to say I wasn't down there for the original Phoenix Lights, and I was down there up until 2006. I kid you not, about 6 months after I left and came back home to Washington, there was a third sighting in 2007 of the same Phoenix Lights. And Fife Symington was no longer governor, and he came out and said, I should have been honest. And
Right.
This is something that was unexplained. And the hoax was bad on his part. But he felt pressured from higher-ups to ease the public, get rid of the public concern over aliens, because it was something that they couldn't handle at the time. So as far as coming out before he did his little hoaxy prank, which was not well received at all, I can't verify that. But I do know that back in 2007, 10 years after the original Phoenix Lights, he did come out. He was no longer governor, and he basically said, look, obviously it's happening again. Yes, it's not military flares.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
I thought I heard something about that. That one of them had recanted, and he'd actually, under pressure, made fun of it. Which, you know what? Even today, I don't think the average American could handle the truth. We've had that talk before here on the
Yeah.
show.
Oh, yeah.
They some of us keep pushing for disclosure, but I don't think society's ready for disclosure.
Well, that's a question in itself for sure. But if you have some time here, I want to give you the real backstory of Fife Symington and the Phoenix Lights, because I think it would be very interesting for the public, at least our listenership tonight, to hear this. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you guys know the real story of this. When it first happened, the phone bank at the National UFO Reporting Center lit up like you wouldn't believe. Peter Davenport was receiving all of these reports from people in Phoenix, seeing these things, and some of them live on the line, sending in their reports that they're seeing it while they're talking with Peter and leaving their messages on the report form. Now, it was many months later that Peter finally got the mainstream media involved in reporting on this story. So it was a big lag between the time it actually happened and finally USA Today came out with the very first breaking story that broke the thing wide open. But here is the fascinating backstory that you're not going to believe about this whole idea of the cover-up. Most people don't understand that Fife Symington at this very exact time was under federal indictment for his kind of involvement in a protest against the federal government, basically shutting down the Grand Canyon tourism that they had there in Arizona. What they're doing is they were trying to cut down on the amount of tours that were going down into the canyon. Some people say because they didn't want people getting close to the truth down there in Grand Canyon, of course, of all these ancient civilizations that potentially, have artifacts down there. I don't know if you've heard those rumors or not, but I have for years. The fact that there were ancient Egyptian tombs and artifacts exhumed down there in the Grand Canyon for probably over 100 years. Basically, the Smithsonian Institute has come through and taken all these artifacts away, but there's still some amazing things down there they don't want the public to see. So Fife Symington had actually taken up that public outcry to not shut down the tourism at the Grand Canyon. So, of course, what they did is the federal government put him under indictment and trumped up some charges against him and his government, state government down there for basically some kind of a bike path problem that they had along federal land there next to the Grand Canyon. So he was in court and going to and being tried for perjury at that time, I believe it was. And when the Phoenix Lights thing happened, the trial was almost going to happen. He was basically toast, and they were going to take him out from his governorship. When the Phoenix Lights hit, all of a sudden the trial, supposedly, this is the story, took a recess. The judge called all the counsel plus Fife Symington into his chambers there. And what happened was Fife Symington immediately came out of that meeting and went to this press conference that same day and did the alien, made fun of the alien kind of a deal. And guess what happened to his perjury trial that same day? It was dropped.
Surprise!
Yeah.
It was.
And so that's you're talking the pressure there that Fife Symington was under to do whatever he was told to do because of this massive, weird situation that was going on right in front of thousands and thousands of people's very own eyes on that night that the Phoenix Lights were sighted coming up over Camelback Mountain and the entire valley of Phoenix there. So I thought that would be interesting for some of the folks to know about these backstories. Now, who knows what was going on with Governor Cuomo in New York to force him to bring out an alien mask, to the press conference about the whole idea of this con as an explosion. So you just got to keep a little discerning mind open there when you're seeing these things.
Right. Completely agree. And what's going on with my computer? There we go. Great backstory, though. And I find it funny. I think what piques my interest the most is that there's a difference, from 97. I wonder if it's going to happen. Well, it didn't happen in 2017. But I wonder if it's going to happen again in 2027, if there's a 10-year window.
Oh, very interesting.
Or if you even looked at 2017 reports, and you might find something that smaller scale that happened, but was still, wasn't really covered so much.
Right. There's a research project for you.
I've got too many of them.
We all just got given a bunch of homework with tonight, so I'm good. Okay.
All right, so moving on to training, we are going to get a lot more into the technology side of the paranormal. We've got a lot of projects that we'll be working on. FLIR camera, well, we'll get to that section here shortly. But, I want to talk about validating whether Bigfoot or off-worlders can communicate with spirit boxes. I've actually heard off-world come through the executioner's box. And that was through a woman named Lorelei. She was doing live spirit box sessions on Facebook. And it's interesting because I heard a voice come through her spirit box, and it said, "We are above." Well, it didn't sound like a spirit, and so I, sent her a message and said, "Yeah, that was an alien." And she freaked out, and she sent me a message, and she had a backstory with that, which we won't get into. But yeah, there was indeed off-worlders that came through a spirit box on that one. And then, of course, we know about Bill Hauser and the Bigfoot they caught. I want to go in the mountains with a real valid spirit box and see what we can catch. Not just Bigfoot and off-world, but I'd be curious what you catch in the mountains, period. In the FMP library, again, I have books in there from the 1800s of loggers and lumberjacks that actually talk about some of the things they encountered in the 1800s in the woods. Haven't had a chance to read them yet.
Can I ask what Bill Hauser caught on Bigfoot?
Say again?
What did Bill Hauser catch?
I haven't heard that. It was on Spaced Out Radio. I haven't heard that episode yet. I'll have to look for it. But apparently they caught Bigfoot talking to them on a spirit box.
I brought it up in the meeting tonight, Cole, because I have a spirit box.
But in English?
I was told, that was my first question. Yes, it was in English, but there was also growls and grunting that came through the spirit box. So I'm wondering now, since I have a spirit box, what kind of spirit box should be required for this?
We need to talk to Bill Hauser because he actually builds spirit boxes. I'm not talking about the SB7 or the little smaller ones you can buy. I'm talking about a real spirit box. The type with a portal feature. Exactly. And Bill Hauser builds them. He can make one for us. We just got to talk to him and see how much he's going to charge. Because they can get pricey. But if you want a good spirit box, you pay her the money. But,
I just don't understand it.
Well, don't get me wrong. SB7s are great, and some of the spirit boxes you can buy through the stores are great. They can still be valid, but I like the boxes that he uses. He'll be at Paracon in 2019, actually, and we'll probably have him do a spirit box session.
Oh, wonderful!
On September 28th.
September 28th, and if you're a new listener, yes, you will hear all about Paracon. This year's theme, ironically enough, is actually Bigfoot, and it wasn't planned that way. We planned that last year, that this should be the year of Bigfoot, and well, here we are, 2019, and we're actually planning more Bigfoot expeditions, and that wasn't planned. But we are in the heart of Bigfoot territory. I've got Bigfoot in my backyard. I've heard tree knocks standing outside on my porch. We have a gifting site. So you want to hear Bigfoot? We can. And I got to give a shout out real quick. Joe Monk, the master of pointy sticks, is in our chat room. How you doing tonight, Joe?
All right, Joe. Hey, Eric, and Megan also could help us with this as well. I know that there's probably some listeners out there that have no clue what a spirit box is and how it works. Maybe we could explain what that is.
Oh, God, I can't give you the specifics of them. Think of the movie White Noise. And some of the common apps, let's talk about that for a sec, too, because apps, any tool can be manipulated by the paranormal. I'm going to put that out just right away. What you do is you vet it. If you're investigating somebody's private home, look up the research the history of the location. If you come up with the name Jane in history, and all of a sudden you have a spirit box app and the voice says, "This is Jane," well, you've just vetted, your equipment, and it's probably Jane that's causing the problems in the home. She needs to be passed over. That's just one example. We had a case in Oak Harbor. It's a prime example of how this team works and how this team vets its team members. Whereas we had a client that was talking about problems in the home, strange noises, they had things moving around, they had issues. Well, first you send the medium through. Our medium went through, she came back and said, it's kind of weird, I don't feel it there right now, but there is a presence, but it was running. Next thing, meantime, I'm talking to the client. I sent our other techie through with an EMF meter. Well, EMF came back higher than the norm. It was probably about 80 to 90. But towards the attic, it was hitting towards 140. So your average baseline environment is usually right around 50. It depends on which EMF you're using. So we came back. I called the Astral team. The Astral team, I told them to go check out the attic because the client said there was nothing in the attic. He's never been up there. There's no electronics. There's nothing that's going to affect EMF. So Astral team went in. We'll talk about Astral a whole other show. I'm not going to get Astral this show. We're already 45 minutes in. But basically Astral is... Our team can travel globally within minutes, basically out of body.
Sorry.
That's all right. But the Astral team went in, and they came back and said, I don't know how to describe this creature, but it looks like a very large ape, and it's got fangs. What do we do? I told them to remove it. So they removed this being, destroyed it. We went back through. All baseline EMF was right back to normal. The medium went through. Everything was clear. Client went through. We haven't had a problem since. Perfect example of how you can use technology to validate. Your Astral team validates. Your medium validates. Once everything's cleared out, all your technology is right back to normal. That would be a perfect prime case right there where you validate your technology, your medium, your Astral, and the client's happy. That's the main thing. And we see this on this team all the time. All right. Any other questions?
Okay, so I was just going to talk about my spirit box for a second.
Right. Okay.
So I do have the PSB7. And it was very affordable to me. I have a basically a Bluetooth speaker that I just plug into the headphone jack. And it does not work in my house because I practice protection. But if I take it on a case, this thing gets so chatty, it's funny. Not funny, but it's...
Well, the last case we were on is a prime example of your spirit box and very validated communication.
Yes, and the client had a loved one come through and talk directly to her, and she was very taken back by that. But what this does when I power it on, I can select AM or FM and then do a sweep. And I can adjust the sweep rate. Well, it picks up on the white noise. And I mean, that's basically what it is. It's white noise. I have never gotten this thing to actually pick up a radio. So it's not like a survival radio to where if there's like a mass power outage, I can't, open this and use it as a radio. It does not function in that way. So I believe because it does not function as a radio that I'm not getting snippets of a radio broadcast because never once have I been able to tune in to, 97.3 or 107.7, which those are both radio stations that come in crystal clear if I'm sitting in my car in my driveway. This is not, of that type of device. It's not that kind of device. So it just does sweeps. And I have picked up full sentences. I've picked up very loud names. I can distinguish a male from a female and even children on this. And
just to clarify, because a lot of the spirit boxes in at PS7.
PSB7.
There you go. Yeah. So what they do is scan radio frequencies. Now, with the executioner's box, the way it was designed, it goes reverse. So where the argument a lot of skeptics have with spirit boxes is you're actually picking up snippets of radio stations.
Yes.
Now, David
That's
Miller
why I was
created
trying to explain that
David
this
Miller,
does.
David Miller created the executioner's box, but he did it reversed. So you're not going to pick up radio frequencies. Well, you will, but you won't pick up snippets because it's actually scanning reversed. So if you actually pick up voices, they're not going to be snippets of radio. Which is why, do some research, figure out what spirit app or spirit box you like, and go from there. But again, any spirit box needs to be validated and vetted. And
good point.
And again, when Megan and I were on this case recently, it was, hands down, when you can see the client's face and they're surprised by what comes through this box, it's working right. So again, we do plan on doing some higher tech, getting some higher tech, and seeing what comes through it. Because it'd be great to have Bigfoot show up on an EMF meter. It'd be great to have Bigfoot come through a spirit box. It would just be great to shake Bigfoot's hand. I mean, face it.
Maybe. He might crush your hand.
Well, the kids just watched Terry and the Hendersons the other day, and yeah, I like that movie.
Remember what he did to their ceiling?
I know it, but that was an accident. Now, and Joe just, yeah. So Joe's in the chat, and he says he always plays the radio so the Bigfoot and the deer and the foxes and all the rest of the critters can hear it. Bigfoot loves music. So our FMP Bigfoot specialist on the team is Larry Anderson. And he's been Bigfooting up here for about 35 years. And he told us a story on here on S-4, I guess last year, that there's a guy, he went up in the middle of nowhere, up in the woods, not to even Bigfoot, not to do anything. He just went out to play his guitar. And he was sitting there playing his guitar. He played for a couple hours. He packed up, he went home. He came back up to the same spot the next day, and there was a pile of flowers left right where he was playing. Bigfoot actually gifted him flowers. That tells me right there, Bigfoot likes music. Also getting to the Bigfoot knocks you hear. I've heard different tones. The first time I heard Bigfoot knocks was about 2014. We were hunting. We were out deer hunting up on the mountain behind the house. And we walked down a trail, and we stopped because there was a tree in the way. But we could see everything in front of us. And we turned around to leave, and we heard 3 knocks. And I get asked, well, you sure it wasn't a woodpecker? Well, you can tell the difference between a woodpecker and a Bigfoot knock, believe me. And I looked at my buddies and like, that sounded just like what they say and what I've heard on, radio shows and whatnot of what a Bigfoot knock sounds like. Let's go check it out. We dropped our packs. We went right over to where we heard these knocks, and it was all pine needles. So there, there's no way there could be a track or a Bigfoot print or nothing. But we saw this log sitting there like it had been dropped, and say again. Okay, I thought someone said something.
Yeah, I almost sound like Michael. Did he cut out?
No, I'm still here.
Okay,
Oh.
okay. But we looked for like 5-10 minutes for this for any kind of sign, and we went back to our packs, put them back on, took one, lifted our feet to take one step away, and it did it again. Like, oh, yeah. Like, yeah, he was mocking us. But that was my first Bigfoot knock encounter, and I've heard several since. But last year, actually it was May of last year, because our scientist, Eric Markham, flew here from North Carolina for his birthday, and he heard his first Bigfoot knock, right here in the gravel pit behind my house. But this time, it made different tones. It was like a boom, 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 boom. Just like that. It was weird. He looked at me and he said, "Oh my God, was that a Bigfoot knock?" I was like, I can't think of anything else that could have been. There's nothing else that makes that kind of a noise. And so, I mean, he was thrilled. But that was the first time I've heard them actually make different tones. And we have Joe in the chat room asking, have you ever really listened to that, like that little blip that just happened? And no.
Okay,
huh?
Yeah.
I'm not saying it was aliens, but it was aliens.
All right, Joe. And I'm not sure, again, bear with me, folks.
Joe, you can't delete your questions. We saw it.
Right? So yeah, his point was: have we ever listened to the show and heard voices that weren't one of us? You know what? No, I haven't. I've had weird things happen. I've had us talk about really deep conspiracies, and all of a sudden, all the phones cut out. I've had things like that happen.
Yes, I have that happen all the time. Also, I have had voices come through the phone, and I have heard it on my end, and the other person swears there was no interference. And I have made out a few words from those type of experiences. And what's really weird is that little blip that just happened. It almost sounded like it said Michael. So to me, that's what I heard. That's why I was like, was that Michael? Like Michael saying Michael? Like,
oh my
yeah.
gosh, I didn't hear it at all. So I don't even know what you guys are talking about, but that is interesting. It said my name.
well, and I'm sorry, but I'm sitting here with my little speaker box in my hand because I was actually going to try to cast it for a second over the radio. But I just discovered that it does sweep forward and reverse. And I'm sitting here going, oh, it goes back and forth. But I didn't actually have it on at that point. I was just like looking at the buttons and still debating whether or not I should ask to play this thing over the radio. But I guess I won't. We're not going to do that.
Well, maybe you should keep it on. Who knows? You know.
And,
Right.
Well, but I
go ahead.
wondered, so you said that spirits can influence technology.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a chance they turned it on for a second?
Oh, they can. They can turn it off. I mean, you know, when you're talking about abductions, for example, back in the 90s, there were always cases where, abductees would try to videotape them sleeping. And they'd wake up in the morning, they'd be all excited, and they'd run to the camera, and the camera was turned off. It wasn't, it didn't run out of power. It didn't run off. It didn't run out of room. It was literally turned off. So can they manipulate? Yes.
Matter of fact, we were just talking tonight on my Saturday night show about a Bigfoot turning off a trail cam.
Right.
With Kevin Beagle, who was with the UFO I team at Takalaka Lake at the Mount Adams incident area. When he set out, Kevin is like a prepper. I mean, he brings all the gear, but he set out a trail cam in the woods just behind his campsite there, and put the cam just basically the way he always does it, and turns it on and let the thing go all night long. In the morning, he gets up, and not only is the trail cam not working, the back of the trail cam was opened up, with one of those little clip things that you got to unclip to get it open, and the switch was turned off. And he goes, well, there's not any animal that he knows that could do that. So he's wondering what happened with that trail cam. That was fascinating stuff right there.
That's better than Megan's. Megan's just disappear.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
They take Megan's trail cams.
Well, just one. Like I said, I need to have a trail cam for my trail cam.
Right.
Or just the wireless system expanded. That would be nice.
Maybe you'll get lucky and there'll be it'll come back to you, just be put on your front porch or something, and there'll be a bunch of Bigfoot selfies.
Yeah,
That
would
would be awesome.
It would be.
That would
You know, you got to realize that at one point we are going to get a sharp, clear picture of a Bigfoot. You would think that it's coming down the road very shortly here, especially with all the other stuff that's been coming down last year with disclosure. But you would think at one point it's going to happen.
Well, when we do our Bigfoot expedition, that is one of the questions I want to ask the Spirit Box when we try and get Bigfoot on it, is if he would allow us to get a picture of him, and if not, why not?
Exactly.
I would like to know if there have been reports of people getting them on Spirit Boxes, why are they allowing their voices to be recorded, but their picture cannot be taken?
Mm-hmm.
well,
So I'm not sure when we're supposed to go to break. I know Gary has breaks here on Night Dreams. So how does that work? Do we stop and go to break, or?
You know, I would not worry about it, Coop, until you hear the music, if there is music.
Okay.
There you go.
There we go.
You are listening to S4 on Spreaker.com.
Well, hello there. Us here at S4 would like to remind you out there that the UFOI team weekly meetings are broadcast live on Facebook from Denny's, where America eats, each Monday night, 6 to 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time at UFOI Team on Facebook. The UFOI team's gear, product store, and newsletter are located on their website at ufoiteam.com. To contact the UFOI team with your sightings report or a paranormal story, send an email to the UFOI team at gmail.com.
Okay, we're back.
Keep looking
All
up
right.
and tell us your story.
So getting
Forest
back
Moon
to
Paranormal
what
is a
are
non-for-profit emergency
plans for,
response team
for
that handles
2019
all aspects of the paranormal,
with S-4
helping
anyway.
you, your family, friends, and community
We've moved
since
to Night Dreams Talk Radio.
2004.
That was one
Whether
of our
you're
moves,
having a
one of
problem
our
with
plans.
hauntings, spirits,
And we've also
Bigfoot,
got the S-4
other types of cryptids, or
website.
UFO
Well, we're
activity.
actually, hopefully this week
Maybe
we'll have a
you're just
store set
unsure
up.
of what's
It's going to
bothering
be
or terrifying you. Or
www.s-4radio.com.
maybe you're just afraid of criticism
and you can get
and
your
disbelief.
S4 gear, your FMP gear.
FMP is
And we're
here
looking
for
for
you.
sponsors for the team
We
and
handle
both,
cases
both the team and
globally
S4.
and locally
So if you
from
have a
our
business and you
headquarters
want to
in
be a
Skagit
sponsor
County,
of the
Washington.
team, by all
We
means,
never accept
shoot me an
any
email
form of
or-
payment for our services.
shoot me an email or a phone call, and I'll give you our contact information at the end of the show. We're also looking for guests for the show that will specialize in different topic areas. And we have a something new we're starting this year too is our FMP Junior group. You want to talk about that a little bit, Cole?
All right, so we are going to open up our group to kids 6 to 17. They will learn certain amounts of training that are prudent to their age and join us for our special events. It's just a way for us to prepare our young for the future and what we can expect with the future we seem to have coming.
We do
will hopefully
that.
be a fun way to expose these children to not really expose, but give them a better understanding of the things that we can deal with and the things that are out there in their own world.
And we did that basically because, I mean, Cole's got 4 kids. I've got 2. Megan's got a kid that's old enough to, they understand what Bigfoot is. They understand because we talk about aliens all the time. And, our kids are no different. Our kids hear about aliens. Our kids could probably tell the non-paranormal more about aliens than, anyone else can. So, it just makes sense to get them more involved. They aren't going to go on cases by any means until they're 18, but they can attend training because the more they know, the better off they are. So we are starting that up, and we are opening it up to non-team member children as well. They have to have parental consent, and there we go. Okay. Yeah, bear with me. I hate technology here.
And for all of our parents out there, remember, like Paracon itself that we put on every September is a family-friendly event. This isn't something where we are out to scare people. There are all different types of training sessions and speakers who are there to show you the world of the paranormal, but we do it in a way that is safe for all ages.
Exactly. Now, use some common sense. If your kid's already scared of their shadow, they might not want to hear about spirits. We'll be talking about all that in a whole other show because we do focus a lot. We have certain tiers that we utilize. We call triage on the team. Obviously, children and pregnant women are the top of the tier. So if we get 2 to 3 cases a day at one time, which happens, then I prioritize them based on severity level. And I get asked, well, why would a pregnant woman be on the top tier? Well, for 2 or 3 different reasons. Pregnant women, for one, are under stress being pregnant. So you don't want to throw paranormal on top of that stress. Second one, there are malevolent entities out there that are what some people would call soul stealers. And they would do nothing more than take the soul or take over that baby. So that puts them up in the top tier. Children already being sensitive automatically jump to the top of the tier. We have pending cases now where we have children involved, and we're just waiting to get with the clients. But we have priorities. The second to the tier would be if you got scratched by a spirit. If you're an alien abductee, we'll see what we can do with that. Because of some danger levels with the team, we've stopped doing abduction cases to an extent. We're not going to go to combat with aliens right now until we figure out a better way of dealing with them. Because we have in the past, and well, we've been successful at stopping abductions, but there's a price that you pay, and we're not willing to put our team at risk with that price. So we're this is. I've been doing this for almost 30 years, and I learn something new every case we do. Anyone that says they're an expert, anyone that says they know everything there is to know, you walk away from them, because nobody ever knows everything there is to know in this field. That's just the bottom line. Wouldn't you agree, Michael?
Oh, yeah. Gosh, it's like anything else. You claim to be an expert in something, and you better have some details to back that up with. And most people who claim to be an expert probably aren't. So if you've got a humble attitude and come at it with you're learning along with everyone else, and you're just here to help, I think that goes a lot farther.
It does. It does indeed.
Can I say something quick?
Yeah, of course.
With what you just said about people asking why pregnant women are on the tier, to all our listeners out there, if you are asking why a pregnant woman is on the top tier, you are what is wrong with society. I am sorry. I don't care how many people hate me for that. You need to be smacked.
Yeah. Oh, you believe how many times I have been asked that. But yeah, it should be common sense. But I question the common sense side of society quite often.
So I have something to add just as insight, because I mean, how many pregnancies have you guys had? Like, being
you know what? I've had 5. Okay. No.
Okay. I apologize. So, to actually experience the hormone influx and being sensitive already, I can tell you, as a sensitive and dealing with crazy hormones in a pregnancy and stress from pregnancy, my sensitivity went through the roof.
Well, then you have, postpartum depression. You've got a whole lot of hormonal problems.
Just the fact that I was pregnant and is sensitive already. I mean, I was getting hit left and right with emotions that I was picking up on. Right. I would be fine a second and yeah, I'm pregnant, I'm emotional, but there was more to it because I was already sensitive, and I felt like I was going nuts until I understood that your sensitivity, your abilities path could be heightened by the influx of hormones, and I found that very interesting.
Right. Well,
so,
yeah, and
that's my two.
I forget about that side, because when you're dealing with a woman that's pregnant as well as has abilities like a psychic, a medium, an astral potential. Speaking of which, for any listeners that would like to learn astral, we do have an astral school starting on the 10th in 4 days. So if you want to learn astral basics, jump into the FMP group and get a hold of a Richard Benak, and he'll get you an application. We also, along with the team, since we're talking about the team, we have extended care. Now, extended care is the team that will come in behind the astral once the situation's been relieved, taken care of. The extended care team will come in and they'll teach grounding and shielding. They'll basically teach the client how to take their home back, how to keep themselves safe. And that keeps us from having to come back quite often. There's no time limit on that, because it all depends on how long it takes the client to grasp what we're teaching them. Along with the astral team, the extended care team, we do have a Francie. She is our psychiatric counselor. She's a licensed therapist. She helps us with the psychiatric issues, because when you're talking about, and that's a whole other show as well. We're just covering the basics tonight, and we'll get into a whole lot deeper stuff the more you listen to S-4. But there's a lot of parallels between psychiatric conditions and the paranormal. They work hand in hand quite often, and you have to kind of weed through the signs and symptoms and figure out whether it's psychiatric or it's paranormal or it's a combination of both. And that's why we have a licensed therapist on the team.
Let's throw out a shout out to Francie too. She was supposed to be on the show tonight, and she is unfortunately, her area where she lives is going through a storm right now, and she was unable to be with us. So
exactly,
stay safe.
Probably the same storm that we're waiting for to come here. It's been a bad winter, and not even for snow. But actually, the snow's supposed to be coming on Monday. Oh joy!
Is that right?
I do have to say, it was awesome Christmas morning when I looked out the window as we were opening presents, and it started snowing.
It didn't stick.
That was beautiful.
I know it, but
that's
it didn't
okay.
stick. And all I was thinking is, oh God, we just got our power back. Don't stick. Because it's one thing to have no power for 4 days, and it's in the 40s. It's another to have snow on the ground and it's 20s to 30s and you still have no power. Yeah.
Just for a reminder for everyone tomorrow night, or listening tonight, that's also for our next show next week is winter preparation.
Yeah, and that's why we moved it. Because actually next week was supposed to be about Project Blue Book. But we've moved it so we can actually talk winter prep for next week because of the fact that we're losing power. We're getting hit pretty hard with heavy wind, heavy rain, things of that nature. So moving on.
Speaking of which, maybe we should give that Project Blue Book premiere a plug. It's coming up January 8th. So if people are out there wanting to see the brand new dramatic television series on the History Channel called Project Blue Book about the military's actual top secret investigation of UFOs from 1952 to 1969. They ought to tune into the History Channel. 10 p.m., I understand. And I'm not exactly sure if that's specific time or not, so I would double check your listing.
Central. Okay, so 8 o'clock our time.
It could be 8. It could be 8 o'clock. But I would definitely check the History Channel listings to make sure you don't miss it, because it's. I think it's going to be an hour or 45 minutes for the first episode of Project Blue Book on January 8th.
Oh, I'm ready. My popcorn and Pop is sitting right beside my chair waiting.
And so I'm going to switch things up again because actually January 19th is supposed to be a roundtable. So, January 19th, we're going to talk about Project Blue Book for the entire show. And what I want to happen is, I gave Megan some homework tonight too, and we're all going to do the same homework. Because what I want to do is compare the historical records of Project Blue Book that we know are documented and compare it to the TV show. And see how accurate and see how factual that TV show really is. Because what intrigued me is how they have J. Allen Hynek in there. And, J. Allen Hynek was a CIA director back then that was actually put in charge of Project Blue Book. And that's documented. So if they actually have him in the, portrayed in this TV show, I want to see what other facts they actually have in there. I'm curious.
Yeah, that's a good point. There is some dramatic license I know that they took on the initial sneak preview that we saw down in Seattle at the AMC movie theater. The UFOI team was involved with that promotion, but the basic stories are pretty much right on as far as the actual reports go. But of course, they got to get into the details of what people were thinking at the time and the various character development that they're doing. So it will be interesting to see how they're going to treat Dr. J. Allen Hynek's character in the long run, in this series.
I'm curious. Are they going to portray him as a bad guy? Or are they going to portray him as just an idiot that was skeptical the whole time? Or how are they going to portray him? And again, how accurate are they going to be? I mean, obviously, we weren't around back then. We didn't see it. I was born in '69. Wouldn't have been, around long enough to even know what Project Blue Book was. I didn't get into UFOs until '94. So I am curious how documentation's everything. If we can find documentation showing the actual Blue Book, I do have some on the computer, and then compare notes and see how accurate the TV show is. That's another S4 episode we'll be doing later on in the year's media portrayal of the paranormal. And, you look at a lot of the alien movies and whatnot, and where do they get the races portrayed in the movies? Is there fact to them? Yes, there is, to several of them. Predator, for example, is an actual race. The races they used in Independence Day is an actual race. So I mean, that's a whole a whole S4 episode we'll be talking about.
So actually, I want to interrupt for 1 second, because when we first started and we were talking about is Bigfoot interdimensional, I was sitting here going, was he Chewbacca? Like, was Sasquatch supposed to be Chewbacca? Like, is Chewie a Sasquatch? And I'm sitting there thinking and spacing out while you guys are having a very fluid conversation. I'm just sitting here going, is Chewie really a Sasquatch? Like, is Chewie Biggie?
Of course.
And I was thinking about that. And I was going to ask it, but I forgot because we weren't even talking about movies. So movie portrayal, are they trying to say that Sasquatch are some type of alien? Because, think about that for a second.
And there is a lot of correlation, and we've talked about we've talked about that on S4 too. But I gotta point out, Chewbacca sits in the back of Michael's car.
Exactly.
Oh, the front right seat headrest is Chewbacca. I call him Chewie the Squatch, actually.
The question is,
if you ever saw my Grant Cameron video where we were stuck in the car for hours on end in a blazing snowstorm up in BC, he was sitting right on Chewbacca's lap the whole time. It was kind of fun.
Think of who plays Chewie.
Who does?
Hold on, I'm trying to remember his name.
Nobody plays Chewie. Chewie is.
Okay.
Chewie just
ruin
is.
It for me. Don't ruin it for me.
Well, no, but the guy, Peter, his name's Peter.
Peter Parker?
Trying to remember.
No, that's Spider-Man.
I know. I just watched that the other day, too.
Oh, I got something. Okay. So, who played
Peter
Chewie?
Mayhew. Peter Mayhew.
Yeah, okay.
He is 7'3".
He's got
it.
it.
It is my belief that they didn't like the hair that he had on him, so they shaved him and made him put on the suit.
Well, they
I
had
think
to have,
he is
you know,
Bigfoot.
they had
7
to have
foot
paid him
3
enough.
inches. Like, come on. He didn't even need the step stools that stilts that everyone else uses when they put that thing on.
Yeah. Matter of fact, there's a great story too about Harry and the Hendersons. The guy who was in the suit for Harry and the Hendersons, his name was Kevin Hall. He's an actor, and he's 7'3" as well. The guy was just giant. And I don't know if you remember that film, but the facial expressions and the makeup that they did on that Sasquatch in Harry and the Hendersons was just awesome. I mean, he could do facial, different kinds of things that you normally don't see on like a Chewie figure, in those films too. So another guy is just, who knows? That was a fascinating subject.
Outstanding. And
I don't like what he just put.
what?
Joe just put that the original Chewie might be dead.
It says
be
on
really upset.
Well, Kevin,
Wikipedia that he's still alive,
well,
but he's
you know what?
74.
It's Kevin Hall that passed away.
He's 74.
Okay.
Think about that for a second.
Fake news.
Okay, but think about that for a second. Did you guys notice that on January 2nd we lost 3 great actors? Well, not just actors, but 3 great entertainment personalities, and they were all 76.
Oh.
What kind of personalities did you just say, Cole?
Oh, entertainment personalities. So we lost Mean Gene from the World Wrestling Federation. He was the announcer.
Oh.
And he died at 76. We lost Super Dave Osborne.
Super
I don't know
Dave?
if you guys remember. Yeah, he passed away on January 2nd.
Oh, my gosh.
At 76. And the captain from Captain and Tennille
Oh, yes. Yeah.
was 76.
Oh, my goodness. That is synchronicity. Oh, my gosh.
Okay, so we gotta move along here. So
Okay, hold on. One more thing.
Move along.
Okay.
What? So what we're doing in FMP2, which is part of our 2019 push, is trying to get a boots on ground team in every country. And right now we have India covered. We have a team in Australia. So if we have any listeners that have a paranormal team that wants to represent boots on ground investigative cases in your country and work with our Astral team at the same time, jump into FMP and we'll go ahead and vet you and get you an application and whatnot. Because it'd be kind of cool if we had a global reach and we could actually help people in every country, with not just Astral, but with an actual physical team that could go to the client's home. Along with that is our stance on paranormal bullying. And so what I'm doing is working with the admins of about 90 different groups to get an alliance formed that if they have a bully in their team or in their group, they contact all the admins and they get removed from all the groups. Kind of like a unified front to fight paranormal bullying. And that's people that, some of the debunkers and skeptics that take their views to the level of attacking experiencers, for example. So again, we have our Astral team. We have our Astral school that's coming up on the 10th. We have Extended Care team. We have that school coming up in April. And I'm getting clarification here. And then it'd be nice if we could find additional scientists and psych specialists, just basically to strengthen the team unity.
Get a lab team going.
Well, that'd be nice too. And a lab is something we'll be working on eventually.
Yeah, what is our protocol? So say somebody has a hair sample that they want to give to us. Are we going to collaborate with a team or a private lab? Or is there a specialist that we have?
So right now, if we use, for example, if we have an evidence kit that was put together by our scientist, he's a microbiologist, and if we were to get Bigfoot hair, Bigfoot feces, anything of that nature that needs to be examined by a private lab, we would mail it to our own scientist for him to check out and test in his own lab. That way, evidence doesn't just disappear like is so common.
It tends to do that.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So, I kind of have an idea.
Okay.
Like, what if, okay, so this is a big if. What if we can obtain some, say, Bigfoot DNA? What would happen if, say, I decided to take a little sample and submit it through one of those 23andMe or Ancestry? The DNA.
It'd be kind of curious what came back, wouldn't it?
Right?
Ian Malcolm would show up, and he would say, you were too busy thinking of whether you could to know whether you should or not.
Oh. Yeah, I probably should not do that. But, I mean, how neat would that be? I mean, what kind of result would that be? That would be neat.
Well, and the interesting thing is, Megan, is that there is mitochondrial DNA that many times is found in these Bigfoot samples as well. So we're talking potentially, Earth females, hominid females involved in this mix as well. I've talked with Melba Ketchum recently about this. Matter of fact, I think Dr. Ketchum is going to come out again and do some more radio shows recently about this whole idea of how the Bigfoot DNA has been scientifically analyzed. And so that's a fascinating subject. As a matter of fact, if there was any way that we have that capability here on Forest Moon Paranormal, it'd probably be a good idea for us to give contact information to someone who might be listening tonight, maybe, and has or has heard of some evidence out there of Bigfoot hair or feces or what kind of a DNA sample they might have. How would they get it to Forest Moon Paranormal?
Well, what I want too is, if you know of a UFO landing site, I would love to go check it out because, K2 meters, Geiger counters, things of that nature would be ideal evidence to show off-world craft. And like I said before, the easiest way to contact us is to look for us on Facebook. Just look for Forest Moon Paranormal on Facebook. Join the group. I can be contacted directly on Facebook through there. Or they can call me at 360-840-7674. And, when it comes to UFOs, we work directly with Michael and UFOI team. And I expect that a whole lot more this year. This is the year of the alien and Bigfoot.
Yep.
I will say for
go ahead.
If you don't know your poop, like your feces, Google it before you send it to us. We don't need that many bags of poop coming to us,
Well, real quick. So when you're looking at least the difference between bear and a potential Bigfoot, quite often you'll find in bear, not to sound gross, and same with coyote. A coyote poop often has hair in it. It's not metabolized correctly. With bear, you'll find seeds. You will find again hair because they don't digest properly. You'll find berries. They don't digest properly. If it doesn't have seeds and hair and things like that in it, it's potentially Bigfoot.
Yeah, I like, and then make sure you check your shapes. That is a big thing.
I can't believe we're talking about poop.
I know, but I just don't want your mailbox full of it.
No.
Cool. When you said your poop, make sure you know your poop. I took that very literal, and I had to put the phone down and walk away for a minute.
It's okay. I'll give him Megan's address.
Oh, don't you dare. I'll just drive it over. Chuck it on your door.
Okay. No, I'll give him the P.O. box. That way the concrete post office could deal with it.
Oh, no.
Oh.
Yeah. Email correspondence would be much appreciated before sending any type of scat or excrement.
And if you have questions about it, send us a picture. That's the best way to start.
Yeah.
Agreed.
And
Agreed.
Freezers, Ziploc bags and freezers are great.
Because what we have is as sterile as you can get. We have test tubes, we have tweezers, we have Q-tips, we have and everything's sterile. It's been recommended and approved by our scientists to keep from lab contamination, things of that nature. So, and that's... So we have about 25 minutes left of the show, and I want to talk about FMP, what our capabilities are, what we do. And, you have these teams out there that talk about how we do this in the name of science. And we'll talk about that for a second, because what a lot of these people consider science is not science. Running around with an EMF meter and getting a voice captured on an EVP isn't science. Would you agree with that, Michael?
Well, the devices might be considered a scientific device, but of course the phenomena is nowhere near science yet. Maybe it never will be. So that's what we're dealing with. We're dealing with a hybrid kind of a process here of investigation, I believe.
Mm-hmm. And being a non-scientific team, because we utilize mediums, we utilize astral, we utilize scientists, we utilize all what people call fringe, but we have scientists on the team, which makes it a balanced, well-rounded team when it comes down to it. And we work with the Haunted Crew of Canada with Mike Moore out of British Columbia. We have many affiliate teams that we network with, UFOI team being one of them. And so, if we have questions, we contact one of our other teams that we work with and ask them, what do you think about this picture? What do you think about that video? We also have on the team a video and media analyst who's actually been to college for media analysis. So he can look at a video, for example, and say, nah, there's CGI in that one. And, things like that. So we try to get as fact-based as we can. Having military background with half of the team, integrity comes first and foremost. And I've been asked about being a vet and having been to combat. The paranormal really doesn't scare you like it would a non-military team. Wouldn't you agree, Megan?
I would agree. However, I'm going to throw my husband under the bus at this moment, because when I researched down in Yuma with our paranormal group down there that we were first attached to, he was bait. My husband was just straight up bait. He got attacked. He got whipped. He got scratched. He got spit on by a entity. And I can't explain it. He's just bait. And he's just like, nope, no more. I can't handle it. I mean, he has no qualms tromping around the woods. He has no fear, but the second I bring up a boots on the ground investigation, he gets this look and he's like, I can't do it. I can't do it. Because his thing is, he doesn't, I'll edit this for him. He says he doesn't like stuff he can't see. And that's what gets to him. Because if he can see it, he can deal with it. But if it's stuff he can't see, that's his little tick.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm totally fine with it. I'm fascinated by it. It will be a lifelong thing for me. And I just have to giggle because my husband's a very large guy. And for him to be like, no, it's just, I find it comical and I love him.
And it's going to be, because so for our listeners that don't know who we are, really, I'm 19 and a half years Army, got medically retired. Megan and Dan, her husband, are both former Marines. Once a Marine, always a Marine, Semper Fi, and all that stuff. Purple Prince. Markham, our scientist, is former Navy. Tony, our astral team lead, is former Army. Sarah, our medium and astral team, is former Army. So, we're I don't think I'm missing anybody.
Stacia was prior Army.
Okay, Stacia. I always forget. I'm sorry, Stacia, if you're listening. She's in Hawaii. She's not local.
And Brent, our other astral,
he
National
was
Guard. Navy.
Navy. I'm sorry. Oh, yeah. I messed
Navy.
up here. And William is joining the Army. We want to congratulate William. He's leaving our team temporarily while he joins the Army. He's going to be a combat medic, be our registered EMT when he gets back. But yeah, and I'm excited, and hopefully they're listening. But there's the Military Paranormal Network that we might be working a little more with. I'm not sure where they're based out of. I actually just started talking to one of the guys on the team here about, I guess, 3-4 days ago. So hopefully we'll be hearing from them, and they're excited that we're all vets and running an emergency response team. So it'd be cool working with them a little more.
And thank you all for your service.
I wouldn't change a thing.
Thank you.
I'd do it all over again.
All of it?
All of
Did
it.
you have to change the latrines?
I wouldn't change a thing.
I'd maybe take that part out, like changing out the latrines. I'm good without that. If you ever had to do that.
You know what? I'm gonna say this. There's nothing worse than the smell of burning urine. I've done that. I did it in Somalia. I had to burn and stir urine, and it was awful. But it has to be done. So we had details that would have to go do that, and yeah. And there's Brent. Brent, I'm really sorry I butchered your service. Brent's in the chat. He's part of our Astral team. And I think we did great for our first show on Night Dreams Talk Radio. And hopefully our listeners, our new listeners on Night Dreams will love the show. I'm telling you, we have a panel on every show. We pick apart our topics. We have fun doing it. And we're all friends on this show. Any questions you got, by all means, jump into the FMP group and ask them. Once I figure out the technical side of how we're linked into Night Dreams, we'll figure out how to do the chat and the question and answer and all that. And looking forward to this year. And I know we're early. We're still talking. The show's not over. But I expect good things with this network.
This year's going to be great.
It is. I got to say, 2018, it was the year of supposed, and I've said this on, I think it was Paced Out Radio, 2018, it looked like it was going to be great, explosive, disclosure's going to happen. The New York Times article came out, Trump came out and talked about the Space Force. You had To the Dreams Academy with Tom DeLonge, and it looked like it might happen. And we waited, and we waited, and we waited. And it was kind of like a rocket went up, and it fizzled out. What happened there, Michael?
That was a good question because obviously it was just a little over a year ago now that New York Times article came out on the front page of the New York Times, December 16th, 2017, above the fold, talking with the Department of Defense and the Pentagon officials confirming for the first time in history that UFOs exist. I mean, that was a major event, in anybody's book if you're into the paranormal, UFOs, and all that kind of stuff. And then, of course, there were kind of like not a lot of follow-up to that. But towards the end of the year, I think probably we've all felt this, that there was just this big momentum coming with the mainstream media, coming out with Harvard astronomers talking about the Oumuamua asteroid maybe being a advanced probe from an alien civilization. This is Harvard talking about this in the mainstream news. The giggle factor is gone now as far as is concerned. When people talk about these things, it's more of a serious attitude. So, I think, and we talked about it earlier today with the sightings that Megan had actually just tonight of a UFO. They seem to be more blatant the actual sightings themselves. So who knows whether maybe the government was a little reticent to do this. Maybe the off-worlders are saying, hey, we're going to do it if you don't.
Well, the first, and I've said this many times, the first disclosure actually happened in 1952 with the UFO flap over the White House. It wasn't Roswell. It wasn't Maury Island. And I'm assuming we have a lot of local listeners as well, being based out of Seattle. But if you haven't heard of the Maury Island incident, that was actually bigger than Roswell, in my opinion, because it happened right here in Washington.
And it was before Roswell, 2 weeks before Roswell.
That's what they call the Washington State Roswell. And that, just like a month later, Roswell happened. In between there, you had Kenneth Arnold with the UFO, the flying saucer sightings, and that was what coined the term flying saucer. So, Washington State's been a key pivotal point in the UFO field since the beginning. And I don't know. I feel let down because 2018 was supposed to be the year of disclosure, and I didn't see, it looked promising. And I think Blue Book, this TV show that's coming out, is kind of don't get mad, but I think it's a weak attempt at trying to spark it up again. We'll see what happens. But, UFO sightings, I don't know if they're on the rise or if it's just part of it, I think, too, is the media was given the green light to talk about them openly without smirking and laughing and, like Dave Scott said, without the X-Files music playing in the background. And, they've given kind of the green light that it's okay to talk about. And maybe that is the catalyst that was needed for disclosure to happen this year. I'm not going to hold my breath for it. I'm just going to keep doing what FMP does best and work with clients. But we are going to go out in the mountains more because I think that's where a lot of the answers are. Are UFOs and Bigfoot tied? I believe they are indirectly. You hear the stories about Bigfoot being seen walking out of landed craft and taking soil and water samples and getting back on those landed craft and taking off. Is that some kind of a mind, what's the word they use for it? A memory screen? It could be. But I've also heard stories where Bigfoot was seen running terrified from UFO sightings. So you hear two sides of that coin. Now, I have a theory. We have humans being abducted by aliens. Why aren't they abducting Bigfoot as well? That's a very strong possibility, and that's one thing I want to look at. But first, we have to speak to a Bigfoot, and we're going to try that with a spirit box. But
and we've definitely got reports of cattle, of course, being abducted and mutilated, and elk as well. There's a very famous Washington State case of some Forest Service workers who were planting trees in a clear cut, seeing a UFO abduct a wild elk from a herd.
So with elk, too, there is a famous case in Canada where there's a guy hunting. I can't remember the name. It's actually in my presentation I do with UFOs for the team, where the guy took a shot at an elk, and his jaw dropped, but he actually watched his bullet move in slow motion, and then he watched the elk being lifted by a UFO that was hovering over them. Now, if you want to look at it scientifically, bovine blood, cow blood, is the closest of any species to human blood. So, just like pig skin is the closest animal skin to human skin. So if you want to look at, the cattle mutilation phenomena is another one that intrigues me. And I love Linda Moulton Howe's discussions about cattle. She really sparked the cattle mutilation discussion back in, I believe it was the 80s or 90s with the HBO documentary she was doing. And, my question, I guess, if they were coming to abduct cattle, And I believe the first documented animal was actually a horse, and I can't remember the name of the. I can't remember the name. Yeah, Tippy.
Snippy.
Snippy.
In Colorado.
Yeah. But they pick them up and they drop them from the sky. That's been, proven. And why would they do that? It just makes you question.
Exactly. Why would they not care that we see something strange going on? Normally, you could just dispose of maybe the body, the carcass, in a certain way that they wouldn't bring attention to themselves, but they don't seem to be worried about that.
No, they don't. And, just like the questions I get oftentimes, too, are, why would they have lights on? Well, one answer is so they don't hit each other. Another answer is so that we will see them.
Yes.
Everybody. I think the most memorable UFO sighting I remember out of the 5 that I've seen was the one in Iraq going over Syria. And one key point with that one was the MOS of the soldiers that were with me. One was an aircraft crewman. The other one was an aircraft mechanic. And both of them that's not one of our terrestrial craft for sure. But it was triangular shaped. It had green, blue, and red lights on it. And they weren't in the normal terrestrial aircraft pattern. Now, they weren't drones because drones are generally louder. Drones also, it wasn't, going by aircraft experts, because they would be experts in my mind. They know craft. They have to go through craft identification classes in schools with their job. But coming from them and coming from the fact that this craft showed up 3 nights in a row for about 15 minutes at a time, made no sound, no humming noise, no nothing. It moved very slow. It stopped. It maneuvered in different directions, and it wasn't normal. But that's the one that sticks out in my mind, I think, the most. What about you, Michael? What would be your most memorable sighting you've seen?
Oh, gosh. I have a sighting in 2012 that I still can't explain. I have a vivid recollection coming home very quickly here. I'll just go over it. Coming home and taking a picture of the full moon hovering over my house. When I looked at the photo earlier or later on and kind of tweaked it with some enhancements, it turned out that there was a triangular shaped UFO hovering below the moon over the top of my house in this photograph. Now, the weird thing was, I thought I took the photograph at about 8:30 p.m. in the evening on a winter night in January, and actually the photo was taken, as the timestamp on the photo says, it was taken at 3:37 a.m. the morning before, 17 hours earlier. So I've got a major weird missing time situation going on with my sighting.
Wow.
Yeah. And that's common. Yeah, we'll be talking about abductions in depth many times over this year. So for our new listeners that are just finding S-4, but by all means, don't worry. You're going to hear all about aliens, abductions. We cover it all. So yeah, I'm again glad we found this network. I'm glad Gary pulled us into this network because the topics we hit will definitely hit home. Again, we also discuss active shooting response. We discuss disaster response. Like I said, next week we'll be talking about winter preparation and how to keep your family safe and how to stay comfortable during a power outage, things of that nature. Because when we talk emergency response, we're talking emergency response not just with paranormal, but with mundane emergencies as well. So my background is 19 and a half years Army, like I said, 4 combat tours. I've got OSHA background, I've got FEMA background, I've got a degree in Homeland Security. Megan, go ahead and give us a little background on you real quick.
Oh, let's see. I'm typing. I served 3 years in the Marines. I worked on electronic countermeasures, radar, classified material, clerk stuff. So I was a handler. I got out because of injury. So, Marines, if we're non-deployable, we're out. So I enjoyed my service. I miss it. I miss it very much. But yeah, I guess I just have better things to do in life. There's a bigger plan. So I'm happy with that.
Outstanding. And yeah, you've got a lot of intelligence background
Thanks.
as well. So
Well, that's the classified
exactly. So most of the listeners, I know you, Michael. Tell us a little background about you real quick.
Well, I've been an attorney for 30 years. They call me the paranormal lawyer nowadays. I founded the UFO I-Team, which is a highly educated group of UFO and paranormal field investigators. And you can find us on Facebook at UFO I-Team or UFOiteam.com as well. And by the way, I wanted to make a real quick note that the Night Dreams Talk Radio Network, Gary Anderson, is working on having a really great call-in line service for our listeners out there worldwide. So we'll be getting some phone calls here in this new year that we can talk with and see some of our S-4ians, in conversation as well. So that'll be a lot of fun.
Oh, excellent. Excellent. And Cole, give us a real quick background of you.
So I am Canadian, originally from Drumheller, Alberta. My family has a lot of history within the area there and within the area of Saskatchewan through farming and music. So I officially became a business owner a year ago with Statement of Sound DJ service, and we moved through, morphed into Statement of Sound DJ production, and I serve FMP through developing ads and intros for S-4 and helping them with any technical items that they need.
Outstanding. And what I like too is you're also First Nations, which means when it comes to the native side of lore, you can actually help a lot with that. When it comes to, because Bigfoot's called Hairy Man in a lot of different native tribe lore. So yeah, you're a very large asset when it comes to the culture and lore side of what we do. So we're coming down to the last 3 minutes of the show. So again, folks, you can find Forest Moon Paranormal on Facebook. That's our primary work source where we help clients. Look for Forest Moon Paranormal on Facebook. You can find the S4 Radio website at www.s-4radio.com. And hopefully this week we'll have a store up, so you can actually get mugs, cell phone covers, socks, things like that have our S4 logo on them.
I just ordered my shirt.
You did.
Oh yeah, can't wait to get it.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I'm just waiting for it to come, and I'm going to wear it on our broadcast.
Oh, and real quick too, for any local listeners that want to do training with FMP, our next training is actually next Saturday at the Burlington, Washington Library, 4 p.m. It's going to be paranormal protection. So there, for new team members, there are actually 4 classes you're required to go through, and then there's a 6-month probationary period, and we vote you in whether you're going to be on the team or not, because you have to have the right personality for what we do. But the FMP operations, paranormal protection, and that's for everybody on the team. Ethics and etiquette of investigation, and what's the 4th one I'm missing?
Snacks.
No, land nav's coming later. But there are 4 required. We also have a Forest Moon Paranormal YouTube channel we're setting up, where anyone that's out of the area that wants to take the training as well, there will be videos up there of our training that you can take. Just make sure you watch the whole video and you sign our roster, and you can be an affiliate team globally. So I guess I'm just going to keep on talking until I hear music.
Yeah, or if you're ready, Gary will start the music. Either way, whatever you come to an end, you can do it yourself. Either way.
Okay. Again, folks, we're excited that this year we're on this network. This is going to be a great fit for the show. Great fit for Forest Moon Paranormal because, again, it's local as well as global. And looking forward to 2019. Oh, and I guess you lost power at the last minute.
I was going to say it's not playing anything.
No, he lost power, so the show cut on his end at the last minute. So we'll go ahead and wrap up S4 on our end. Again, thank you, folks. Been a great show, and see you next week.
Good night.
Thank you.